Good start. Can I just check before we do start that with the live stream is up and running? Excellent, that's a thumbs up. Okay. Thank you, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the North East Combined Authority Cabinet. Thank you so much to The Story in Durham. This is an absolutely fantastic venue, and a special thank you to Carolyn and the team here who have done the most beautiful archive display, which is out for us if anybody wants to see it, just in the room behind. If you get a moment after Cabinet, it really is worthwhile. So a huge thank you. We are live and recording, so I'll crack on straight away with the agenda. First of all, are there any apologies for absence? No? Can I just welcome Kate, please, who is here in place of Martin Brooks, representing the charity sector. Excellent. Item 2, are there any declarations of interest today? Excellent, nice and easy. So item 3 is announcements from the Mayor and the Chief Executive. So first of all, I just want to say a massive welcome to new Cabinet members around the table. We've got Councillor Husband from Durham, the new leader of County Durham, and Karen Clark, the new Mayor of North Tyneside. So thank you. Just a note on the formalities. We've been through all of the kind of Mayor, Madam Mayor, Councillor this, Councillor that. It's really difficult to manage. So if we can just go with first names, I think everybody knows that we're a modern Cabinet and that's totally fine. So let's do first name terms. Thank you. It would be remiss of me to not mention in announcements that Sunderland are now in the Premier League. Which, you know, for those of us who are Newcastle fans, will be welcoming back the derby, and huge congratulations to Sunderland. This is our first meeting since the local elections and just over a year since we first met as a Cabinet, and it really has been an incredible year of progress. I said at the start of this journey, and I think a lot of people agree, that the North East don't want a political experiment, they don't want us spouting ideology all the time. What they want is tangible improvements in their day-to-day life, delivery that they can see and that they can feel. And that is what we've been doing. Week in, week out, we've been delivering at pace for the people of the North East. And while we'll go into more of that in the year ahead paper that we've got later on in the meeting, I just wanted to start the meeting with some amazing news that we had this week, which was confirmation of our transport settlement. Nothing, I think, sums up our commitment to delivery better than the recent transport investment that we've seen. Ahead of this week's spending review, we've had confirmation that the region has secured £1.85 billion for North East transport. That's more than we've ever had in the region. As you will have seen, that means that we will be extending the Metro to Washington, the first big change in the Metro for nearly 3 decades. And as part of that local transport plan agreed at Cabinet earlier this year, we're also going to invest in the local road network and highway repairs and cycle lanes, EV charging points and many, many more improvements. So that Metro line is just the start. It is important to add, though, that this is never the limit of our transport ambition, or in fact any of our ambitions. There's an awful lot more to do, especially on the key infrastructure. We can see that when we look at the roads network, which was not part of this settlement this week, on the A1 dualling, A19 upgrades, just to name 2, and I could go on. And there's also more need for further Metro investment, particularly in the signalling system, which we all know is coming to an end of its natural life. We know that that needs an upgrade, and frankly, Metro will eventually become unusable if we don't get that. So we'll be watching out for that, along with other things in the spending review this week. We'll be continuing to make the case for Metro investment as Cabinet and to ensure that our regional economy can grow and people have access to great public transport. That's why we continue the talks with Treasury and the Transport Secretary at pace, because we really need more of that investment in the North East. It's been brilliant news, but it's got to just be the start. Since we last met, we've also had very good news for the region with the announcement from the Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson, that the government will extend free school meals to all families on universal credit. As someone who's campaigned against, who's campaigned for the end of child poverty, I'm not going to lie, I did shed just a little tear when I saw that announcement. I thought it was something that will make a huge difference to children in our region. The number of homes benefiting vary just now, but the number of children who will benefit from this is quite hard to calculate, but we think that there's a good chance it's around 90,000 more children getting a good meal every day in our region. That's massive, and it's very likely that we'll be the biggest beneficiary of that policy in the region. This is a vital step to powering opportunity in the North East. It will make a huge difference. It also ties in with everything that we're doing in the region. We are the area that set up the first child poverty unit anywhere in the country, and as part of that, we're providing extra childcare that need it most to those that need it most, giving kids a good start in a home where mums or dads are able to go back to work, and we're going to go much further. And I suppose this is a little bit of a sneak peek to Cabinet next month, where we'll bring a full decision on the full plan for child poverty reduction with substantial improvement to improving people's lives across the region. Cabinet will also be aware that we continue to push with plans for more devolution. The Chancellor's budget last year confirmed that the North East is on course to receive an integrated settlement, giving us more freedom from Whitehall, more ability to deliver for people locally. But we want to go further, which is why I joined with mayors from across the country last month at the Council of Regions and Nations and the Council of Mayors from all the way from London to the North East, calling on government to introduce the power to levy an overnight charge on tourists. It's standard across much of Europe and America and around the world that you pay a small fee on your hotel or in your overnight accommodation. Most of us will never notice it when we go anywhere. And if we had the power to do this, we could invest directly in major regional events and bringing more visitors to our brilliant region and contribute more to our local economy. So and of course funding the next round of major events in the process. So we're asking government to consider including enabling legislation in the forthcoming English devolution bill or in a specific finance bill, which would give us the freedom to design and introduce a locally administered visitor levy. Devolution is a brilliant thing, and I think we can agree that it's doing great things for our region, but it'll never go far enough until we get that full financial freedom, the ability to match funds to local ambitions without needing Whitehall to sign off, something that's designed by people in the region for the region. And that's the next steps of our devolution mission. And today's Cabinet includes decisions on many of the structures that will get us there. So I'll finish there. I've got loads more. We've got loads more to talk about as we go through this pretty extensive agenda, which sees us making some really key decisions for the next year and beyond. Henry, do you want to add anything at this point?
Okay.
Lovely, thank you. Any questions or comments? Martin, do you want to press your button?
There we are. Sorry, you did very briefly mentioned the transport settlement, and I think it'd be remiss if we didn't take the opportunity, I will do anyway, to sort of congratulate yourself personally. I mean, I think these are really difficult financial circumstances, we know, for the country as a whole. And when people talk about £1.8 billion or £900 million for the Washington Loop, most people's eyes kind of like glaze over. What does that mean? Okay, but to secure that level of funding for the northeast of England is an enormous achievement. So I think, in terms of the representations that you and colleagues have been involved with, we need to challenge that. Just to put it into perspective, I mean, effectively, if people struggle with the idea of £1.8 billion, it's about 4 times more than what we've previously been able to put forward in terms of, securing the transport improvements that we need in the northeast of England. And and it isn't the end of our ambition. Colleagues will across the region say things. Well, what about the Moorhouse roundabout or Seaton Delaval? Yeah, we are pressing ahead with that. You and I have been involved in discussions with ministers and with the Department of Transport about how these schemes are assessed in terms of cost-benefit analysis, and in fact that it doesn't take into account the thwarted development that is potential in that area. So we're making strong representation of that. And there are other projects across the region that we're continuing to make representations on. But the transformational impact, I have to say, of the Washington Loop cannot be overestimated. And I think that has a profound impact, not just on Washington. I mean, if you think about the line, it goes out from Pelaw, goes past the Follinsbury Max site, which is a major redevelopment site, which was led by the LEP, and colleagues, okay, where the Amazon plant is, and there's a major potential for employment opportunities. Goes through Washington, huge population, the fourth largest town in the UK that hasn't had any kind of rail link in the past, connects directly to Sunderland and to Newcastle, which and then goes on to connect to the Advanced Manufacturing Park. So the employment and housing potential along that route is, as I say, cannot be overestimated. But it also has as I say, I think a profound impact for the rest of the region, because people make the point when people do understand the issue about climate change, about pollution, about congestion. They do want to make the change. People don't sit in denial about climate change, but they quite rightly make the point that they need reasonable alternative means. If you're a nurse living in Newcastle and you work in the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, how the hell do I get to work without adequate public transport? That's why, connecting Washington will radically reduce people trapped, by choice. Not because they're forced or punished for using a car, but because they make the choice to move to public transport. And similarly, the work that we're all involved in terms of reform of bus services, to re-regulate bus services, to make sure that the £100 million that we already, as public authorities, put into the private bus operators to run the bus service that they operate at the present time, with substantial profits taken out for private shareholders, whilst at the same time cutting bus services, is unacceptable. Sorry.
I'm just highly conscious that you've got a whole item on transport.
Right, okay.
And so I wonder whether we should...
Well, it started as a congratulations to you.
I totally welcome the comments, though, and you are absolutely right about the value of those. And I think we've seen the added value that a new rail line, light or heavy, adds with the Northumberland line. Do you want to make a brief comment now, or do you want to hold off until the transport section? Later on in the transport section. Okay, thank you. Let's do minutes. Have we got? All right, is everyone happy with the minutes of the previous meeting?
Agreed.
Wonderful, thank you. Item 5 is appointments to Cabinet and to other bodies. So we've now got a full Cabinet again following the elections. As I said, we have achieved so much in the first year and we want to do even more in year 2. I'm going to speak more about that later, but just to say a huge thank you to members of Cabinet for your cooperation and through the appointments process. Thank you to everybody who has previously served on this Cabinet. What people will see is that we've restructured Cabinet to reflect the priorities in our growth plan. And so we now have priorities around transport and around our investment portfolio, but then around the key priorities in the growth plan, from global trade, a place to come home, a home of real opportunity, a home of the green energy revolution, and a growing and vibrant economy. And so our portfolios now reflect that, and Cabinet members are published in the report but will reveal themselves as we progress through the agenda. The other thing just to mention is that we will welcome our police and crime commissioners to sit as observers to Cabinet, and congratulations also to Councillor Ferguson, Colin Ferguson, who will reappoint as the Chair of Overview and Scrutiny, and we're really pleased that you've done that for us this year. John, do you want to take us through the report in any more detail?
Chair, I think you've covered everything. The last point was the allowances to be paid to the Chair of the Audit and Standards Committee and the independent persons, which it's proposed just to keep the same, but with some index linking.
Fabulous, lovely. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the report? Can I ask Cabinet to agree the recommendations? Agreed. Lovely, thank you very much. Okay, item 6 is a report from Overview and Scrutiny, and I'm really pleased to welcome Colin Ferguson, who's the Chair of our Overview and Scrutiny Committee, to lead us through this report, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair, and firstly just to say thank you very much to Cabinet for reappointing me. for the next year. I'm not sure what I did wrong to deserve that, but very much looking forward to another year of leading overview and scrutiny for the combined authority. I think the report sets out in good detail the work that we've done over the first year of our existence to look into some of the key developments over the first year of the combined authority's existence, to provide a bit of check and challenge, to engage in that policy development process. And I'm really pleased, I think, with where we got to as a committee, given that, yes, there were predecessor organisations, but we really had to set something up from scratch, get to grips with quite a broad portfolio of work quite quickly, and seek to add value as quickly as we could. I have to place on record my thanks to all of the committee members and their substitutes who supported that process, and all of the officers who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make sure that the business of the committee functions. I think sometimes for the public, you don't get to see the work that needs to go on in between meetings to make sure that when you actually get round the table that you can have a conversation that adds value. And I think it's really important that we note that work. I'm not going to name names because I'll almost certainly forget some people, but I'm sure they know who they are, and we're grateful for all of their support. In terms of the year ahead, at a high level, I think the important thing, as the report says, is that we want to develop the work programme, deepen the scrutiny that we are providing, and strengthen the output that we have in terms of that policy development process, in particular with a mind to the integrated settlement that's coming down the line, because I'm very conscious that effective scrutiny is a key part of the accountability that will be expected from the combined authority. So you'll see in the report that there is a reference to the key principles in relation to the scrutiny protocol. I think we stand up well against those, certainly for a committee that's only existed for a year, but there is a recognition there that there's much more that we'd like to do. And that's all I have to say at this point, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Colin. And can I just put on record our thanks to you and to members of View and Scrutiny for all of the hard work you've put in. We have presented you with an awful lot of material, and we've sent it through at a pretty fast pace. And you've really grasped it with both hands, and we're very grateful. Does anybody want to question or comment on the report? Tracy?
Is it on? Okay, I can't see from this side. Thanks very much, Kim. Can I just say I absolutely welcome scrutiny. I think it is an absolutely fantastic opportunity for members to actually come along. I mean, I do enjoy coming to your scrutiny committee, I have to say. We are always very well looked after when we attend. I mean, you have covered a number of topics. There's an awful lot of work gone on over the past year, and I think what's important to us, Kim, is the fact that it has helped us shape through scrutiny and transparency various topics. We've took bus reform through, we've took the Liam side lane through, we've took employment support through. So we've took an awful lot through our scrutiny process. So I think you absolutely do a sterling job. And Kim, I'm looking forward to attending in the coming year. So thank you so much for all of the work that you actually do. Just a comment.
Brilliant. Tracy's first up. Anybody else? Excellent. Well, thank you. And yeah, as I said, you've really done it with openness and transparency, and we really appreciate it. Okay, can we all agree the recommendations on the report? Fab, thank you. Item 7 is the Audit and Standards Committee. So this is obviously another really important part of our processes to make sure that we're getting everything right, crossing our T's and dotting our I's. And so it's over to Dave Willis, who is the Chair of Audit and Standards, to present this report, please.
Thanks very much, Kim. And hello to everybody, certainly the new members who've not seen me before. I am independent, so independent of all the councillors, and I just wanted to make that point. The Audit and Standards Committee have met 4 times in the last 12 months. And there's a few points I want to raise on the back of that. We were quorate for every meeting. And encouraging members to come along to the Audit and Standards Committee is not the most sexiest things that people do in their day-to-day work. So I've got to say thanks to all the members who have made the effort. But I would also remind everybody else around the table to encourage members to continue to make those efforts, because the last thing we need is an in-quorum meeting going forward. So that's the bit of good news. Colin stole the thunder in so much as thanking all the members for the time and effort, but also thanking the executives for their time and effort as well. We also held 2 development sessions last year about the role of the Audit and Standards Committee, the Single Assurance Framework, overview of the 23-24 accounts in preparation to formally receive them. And we have a further workshop next week for all members, including the new members. And again, if you can encourage them to come along to that, I'm sure they'll find it beneficial. Of the 4 formal sessions, just 3 points to mention, if you don't mind. We have spoken about standards, which has energised the committee on 3 separate occasions, and we've had some quite long debates about standards. We've looked at the standards across all the 7 local authorities, and they're all pretty similar. There's a government consultation taking place at the moment, and we said we're going to revisit standards in the forthcoming year once that reports. But it's consumed a fair degree of time of the members. Risk. We initially discussed the risk framework. We've commented on the risk framework. We then recommended its approval to Cabinet, which went through last year. We've looked at strategic risks on 2 occasions. We've started with deep dives into the main risks. And the first one we did was on inclusive growth, which is well received by members. And again, that generated a fair degree of discussion. And the last point I want to make is around the legacy accounts from the North East Combined Authority and ex-North of Tyne Combined Authority. Bringing those 2 sets of accounts to book by February was a substantial challenge. Substantial challenge for the finance team, substantial challenge for Mazars, our external auditors, and everybody else around who was involved in that process. We managed to do it. We got them signed off before the 28th of February, which puts the Combined Authority going forward in a fantastic place. So we started with a clean set of accounts, and I think that was our major success in the last 12 months. And on that happy note, we're asking you to receive the report, but before we do that, does anybody have any questions?
Questions or comments, please, for Dave? Well, just the same as overview and scrutiny, can I just put on record our sincere thanks to you and to members of that committee. It is a big job. As I said, we've put a lot in front of you also, and we really appreciate the hard work in making sure that it's all done properly and correctly. And the fact that you've held those focus sessions as well to do those deep dives is really helpful to us. And so thank you very much. Can we agree the recommendations, please? Great, lovely, thank you. Item 8 is delivering for the North East, 1-year delivery and priorities for year 2. Look, it has been a really fantastic first year. I am so very grateful to everybody around this table and those who aren't in the room today for all of the work that they've done to hit the ground running and to deliver real tangible results for people in our region. We've asked an awful lot of people, of staff, of cabinet members, and you've really delivered. I'd like to mention some of the highlights before we look forward to next year, because it is going to be an even more fast-paced year. And as I said to the staff team when we celebrated a year of operation, you know, they need to buckle up for a really fast year. In the last year, we've signed off around £500 million worth of funding, covering transport, housing, skills, culture, child poverty prevention, and the list goes on. And we don't have time to talk about all of it, but some snappy highlights. I've already mentioned we set up the first child poverty unit in the UK. I hope that that will be something that others will learn from. We've delivered more than 1,000 baby boxes, supported 4,500 pupils to take part in extracurricular activities. We've launched the Mayor's Childcare Grant to help parents back into work struggling with the cost. We've supported fantastic organisations through the Opportunity Fund with more than £250,000 to strengthen communities. We've approved an investment fund, Trailblazer Zone and Trailblazer programmes, which will create nearly 3,000 jobs and back almost 650 businesses to grow across our region. And after all that, we're starting the second year, as I said, as we mean to go on. We've secured £1.85 billion for transport in the region, which gives us the green light for the metro extension to Washington, which will be a total game changer, connecting tens of thousands of people to opportunities in our ever-growing advanced manufacturing sector. We've secured funding to finish the restoration of the Tyne Bridge. I promised that we wouldn't do a job half done, and we are absolutely not. I'm absolutely delighted that myself and Karen and Martin were able to welcome that funding to give it a new lease of life before its centenary. And that's not all. We've got bold and ambitious plans to launch a new deal for North East workers. We'll be getting thousands of people with disabilities and health conditions back into employment through the £50 million Connect to Work scheme, as well as launching the High Streets Commission. We'll also be rolling out new smart payment technology across public transport and progressing our work to take buses back under public control, something fundamental to transport across our region, but also to growth and opportunity creation. There's much more than that to come. I don't have time to list it all, but as part of our plan to make the North East a vibrant and growing economy, the opportunities that flow through that for people of all backgrounds and communities in every single part of our region. It has been a really good year, and I'm looking forward to the year ahead. Does anybody have any questions or comments on year 1 and year 2? Karen, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Kim. It's not a question. I really just wanted to say huge congratulations to yourself, Kim, as North East Mayor, and to the Combined Authority Cabinet on this significant progress in year 1. I think there's been so many great achievements, and I know they've benefited significantly the people of the North East, including North Tyneside. And in relation to my portfolio area, a home to the green energy revolution, certainly in year 1, we've seen the launch of the North of England's first carbon and nature marketplace, which is opening the way for North East firms to use carbon credits to fund environmental schemes close to home, as well as approved £17 million funding to support jobs and local communities through a new environmental stewardship, coast and rural growth investment plan. And I'm looking forward to supporting delivery in year 2 of the ongoing ambitions for the North East, including launch of the North East Offshore Wind Programme, which includes £1 million technology innovation in green growth for offshore renewable programmes. Launch of a region-wide one-stop shop warm home service, including a £1 million fund to provide advice and the opportunity to apply for a loan to 800 plus residents, bringing together key regional stakeholders to form a Warm Hubs North East task force that will develop the long-term strategy and action plan to ensure we tackle cold, damp homes and fuel poverty, and prepare for devolved funding for retrofit by 2028. So huge congratulations and thank you.
Thanks so much, and it's great to see those highlights from your portfolio. We launched the carbon marketplace the other day with a visit to a peat bog. It was eventful. We got absolutely saturated in the downpour of sideways hailstone that you only see in Stanhope, but we really enjoyed every moment of it. And it does just showcase the absolutely incredible outstanding natural beauty that we've got in the region and why it's so important that we maintain that. Glenn, you wanted to come in.
Thank you very much. There are 2 points, if I can, this is on page 47 of the delivery priorities. I think the first one is around the success of inward investment over the first year. Something like 70 new inward investments in just the first year, which have brought, getting on for 2,000 job opportunities, and the determination amongst NECA to make sure that continues with the same amount of vigour and success as it has in the first year. So I think that's really good news, and look forward to much more of that. The second one is around the tourism. Speaking for Northumberland, I'm incredibly proud of Visit Northumberland, which is the organisation that works so hard and so successfully. Interestingly, in 2024, the total income from tourism in Northumberland was £1.5 billion, which is an incredible amount of money, and that was up 9% on the previous year. So we know that it is a growing and incredibly vital part of our economy.
Obviously, it helps all the authorities within the combined authority, but it's also incredibly important for rural areas, providing jobs and opportunities for people to build on the opportunities that tourism brings. So I think both of those, I think, are great success stories, and I think we can probably think with great optimism about how successful they're going to be moving forward.
Thank you for that. And obviously, we know that Northumberland is just an area that stands on, above so many other parts of this country. It can compete with anywhere in the world, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to outstanding natural beauty. And we're very, very lucky to represent it. And I'm really glad that you'll be joining us as the Cabinet Member for Global Trade. And I look forward to working with you to secure even more inward investment as we progress throughout the coming years. Thank you. Any other comments? Michael.
Thanks very much, Kim. Is that on? Yeah, I was just reflecting this morning, driving in the car, with how time flies when you're having fun. And the last year has absolutely been a whirlwind as we've delivered for the North East around £500 million of public investment came through the Cabinet across a whole host of different areas, from transport, housing, skills, culture and child poverty. From a number of different funds, from the investment fund, the investment zone and the Trailblazer programmes, and it's going to create over 3,000 jobs across the region and back 650 businesses. So it's great to see. I just want to place on record my thanks and appreciation to Henry, to Mags, to Rob, to Chrissy, who've supported me admirably through my first year as Chair of the Finance and Investment Board. Colleagues from other councils who sit on that Finance and Investment Board, give the time, scrutinise the investments coming through. The time and the commitment has been absolutely fantastic. To Catherine and everyone from Sunderland who supported me, because this year is going to be an incredibly busy and productive year as we get prepared for the integrated settlement from 26-27. So I said we've had a fantastic year this year, more to come in the next year. So I just want to place on record my thanks and appreciation to everyone for their support this year. It's been brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael, and thank you for guiding us through that process of spending all of that money. It is no mean feat to get money out the door that quickly to improve things for people in our region, because that is what it's all about. Any other questions or comments? Tracy?
Yeah, thanks very much, Kim. I mean, what a year. We set our ambitions and we set ourselves to be a very ambitious region, and we are, but we are now seeing the delivery of these ambitions through the commitment of Kim being our Mayor and the Cabinet and all of the officers involved. But just from my amounts of the portfolio, you've already touched upon the Child Poverty Reduction Unit, Kim, the very first in the UK. It's absolutely amazing that we are making these strides. We've talked about the delivering of our skills boot and adult skills. We're seeing around about 52,000 people coming through there, helping people with the right skills and training and how they can actually get back into work. We've seen the £18 million which has come to South Shields, which is going to revitalise our South Shields town centre with the relocation of Tyne Coast College and the renowned Marine School. So, that is what we've done in the last year, and moving forward to 2026 in year two. You've touched upon the launch of the New Deal for North East workers and with the implementation of SHINE, and I will be presenting a report a little bit later with regard to SHINE. But then we look at the £10 million, the NECA Economic Inactivity Trailblazer that we're bringing forward, and that'll test new and innovative ways to address the persistent challenges of economic inactivity. So, we've got a lot coming on. And a really exciting time for us as a region. But again, like Michael has said, my thanks goes to everyone around this table, be it obviously Kim, elected members and officers alike. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Tracy. Any other questions or comments? John?
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, I'm on. I just want to welcome and thank you and your team for the level of business engagement in the first year. Business has a huge part to play in supporting you and supporting the team in the delivery of this agenda. I think it was your second full day in the job that you came and spoke to a room full of chamber members. I know you've done that subsequently with all of the other business groups, sectors and businesses all across the economy, and that is just hugely important and very, very welcome. So thank you to you, to the rest of your team for that. It's a big and important partnership going forward.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Lovely. Well, thank you. I think we all know what we've got to do in the coming year. We've got an awful lot still to deliver. Item 9 is opportunity for everyone. The annual equalities report 2024-2025. Can I hand over to Tracy Dixon to present this, please?
Yep, thanks very much, Kim. I'd like to introduce and strongly welcome the annual equalities report before Cabinet today. As the title says, to ensure equality for everyone and to truly make the North East a place that works for all, we must ensure every individual can contribute to and benefit from our region's prosperity. That means we must all comply with our legal duty in the Equalities Act. But this is about more than just a set of values or simply meeting our statutory obligations. This report clearly shows the connection between equality, diversity, inclusion and economic prosperity. The evidence demonstrates that in regions where fairness and opportunity are prioritised, everyone benefits. After all, we know that services that are designed with a diverse range of people are more efficient and effective. Employees who feel valued will be happier and perform better. Employers who open up to job opportunities more widely will attract and retain the best people, and people will feel appreciated and listened to will be more likely to be happier and healthier. All of this boosts to our economy. In South Tyneside, we have constantly woven equality, diversity, inclusion and belonging into the fabric of our council. In practice, that means we have put time and effort into nurturing diverse employee networks to help our colleagues come together and shape internal improvements. We have proudly put inclusion at the centre of events programmes, including celebrating diversity during Hate Crime Awareness Week and partnering with organisations like Out North East in our fantastic Summer Pride across South Tyneside, Gateshead and Sunderland. And we have identified ways to break down barriers that prevent some groups in our communities from succeeding, particularly those with care experiences and members of our armed forces. This is just one part of the work that has happened over the past year across the region, and I strongly welcome the Combined Authorities plans for 25 to 28, including the socio-economic duty. Ultimately, this is about recognising that promoting equality, diversity and inclusion ultimately has benefits for all of us, and it is essential to our vision as a North East, which is a home of real opportunity. I strongly encourage Cabinet colleagues to endorse the report and approve the new objectives. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you, Tracy. Very much appreciated. Any questions or comments on this report? Excellent. Can we all agree the recommendations set out? Agreed. Fabulous. Thank you very much. Okay, item 10, a regional approach to fulfilling the ambitions for a North East visitor economy. We've touched on this already, Glenn has touched on this already, and it won't surprise anybody that I spend quite a lot of my time around the country at events with other mayors and in other regions and talking about how the North East is the best place in the world. And people roll their eyes and they think it's because I have to say it, but honestly, I firmly believe it. I think this is the best place in the world and I'll have no other words said about it. And it's nice to be around a table with people who completely agree with me, so thank you for that. And it isn't just me. Our fantastic venues are are incredible and they're award-winning. At the latest Visit England Award, Ardgefferin in Northumberland was named New Tourism Business of the Year. If you haven't been, please do go. It is absolutely wonderful, with a number of other attractions in the region being shortlisted for those awards too. So often people dismiss our beautiful region in favour of a trip elsewhere, despite the vibrant cities and the vibrant and the bustling market towns and the incredible countryside and the coastline. Honestly, I could go on. We are absolutely bursting with world-class art and culture, and we're so very proud of this place. But our region still receives the lowest number of domestic and international visitors of anywhere in the country. And so often when people do visit, they're shocked by how amazing this region is. I don't think that we've been good enough at shouting about the North East and marketing ourselves to the rest of the country and to the rest of the world. And so we are going to change that, and we're going to be really bold about it. We want to double how much tourism contributes to our economy in the next decade. We heard from Glenn the numbers that we're already pulling in. Imagine what we could do with the economic contribution if we did that. And that means we're looking to use the Newcastle Gateshead initiative and reshape it so it becomes a new body that promotes the best of all of our region right around the globe and that draws people to the North East with our remarkable creative and culture and sporting events. Since March, we've consulted on the vision for that visitor economy with more than 300 stakeholders involved in that consultation, so that we can work out the best way forward. And I want this to work for local people too. That's why I mentioned the tourism levy at the beginning, an extra couple of pounds a night on a hotel room that can inject into our attractions, because for local people, that'll mean even more jobs in this sector, a vibrant and growing economy, increased investment into towns and city centres, and that's why we're doing that, to create opportunities for our communities by showcasing the very best of our region, the region that all of us are lucky enough and proud enough to call home, and that we want to welcome other people to. So can I now invite Karen Kilgour, who's the new Cabinet member for this area, to present the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. I'm not sure there's...
You're on.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's anything left to say, to be honest. I am delighted, thank you, and I was delighted when you asked me to take on this portfolio role as the lead for Home to a Growing and Vibrant Economy, and I'm pleased to see the developments that will help deliver against the local growth plan, invest in the foundational economy and support culture and creative industries, as you've just described, and focus on innovation and R&D. Cabinet should have all had the chance to look at the updated visitor economy paper being brought here today, following extensive discussion with colleagues, and I'd like to place on record my thanks to Councillor Amanda Hopgood for her work to help get us to this point. As we heard from Glenn just a few moments ago and from Kim, tourism is a very large part of our region's economy. It currently supports 91,000 jobs and brings in £6.1 billion a year. It also boosts our region's reputation, pride in place and community spirit, and helps drive our regeneration. Our interim local growth plan sets out the long-term ambition to double the visitor economy's GVA over the next 10 years. Now that means attracting more international visitors and visitors from outside of our region, both for leisure and business, and getting them to stay longer. This also means ensuring our residents are aware of the tourist offer across the region so that they can make the most of living here. The overall direction of travel to create a regional tourism body was agreed at our March Cabinet. These plans have been consulted on with over 200 stakeholders, including with our local councils, visitor economy boards and the industry itself. And from this consultation, we've seen agreement across the region to take a more joined-up approach. We're proposing to transform and expand the successful Newcastle Gateshead initiative, which has been a destination delivery partnership pilot and is seen as an exemplar by national government, into a new regional tourism body that works with local partners in a hub-and-spoke model. The following key steps are included in the proposal: that the North East Combined Authority will become the sole public sector board member on NGI to lead its transformation, that we will invest up to £1.55 million to support this change through to March 2026, and that includes funding for an expert-led review and transition plan, new marketing and communication tools, and a model that's efficient, financially sustainable and backed by all of our partners. Regional Combined Authority funding will focus on this wider transformation and on spending towards tourism and place marketing. Our local-only activity will be paid for by those local areas through service agreements. And a follow-up report with long-term plans and budget proposals will come back to Cabinet later this year once the expert-led review is complete. The individual service level agreements with Newcastle and Gateshead councils have been drafted and are being agreed to ensure that the discrete local level activity continues and feeds into the wider benefit for the region. So I look forward to receiving the wider report and including the business case and financial breakdowns and bringing that to Cabinet. And I have to emphasise this is a really positive step for the region to drive more visitors to North East England and create a more vibrant and inclusive economy. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Karen, and I'm really looking forward to working with you as the new Cabinet member for growing and vibrant economy to make sure that we're doing exactly that, because I know that we're all extremely passionate about this agenda. Any questions or comments? Michael?
Just a comment, Kim, just to see how much I welcome this report. we all know sitting around this table how brilliant the North East is, and I spent a lovely weekend 2 weeks ago in Sea Houses in Northumberland. It's a really lovely place. Tourism is a priority for us in Sunderland as well. We've just launched our own tourism 10 years tourism strategy. So if we can work in this much more regional context that can amplify our local areas much more, I think we'll see significant both inward tourism from across the region, from different parts, but from also other parts of the country. But more importantly, we have significant assets in our region, like an international airport, that can really drive international tourism. And as I say, we've got two now. Well, one good Premier League football team. The other ones are decent. But football tourism is a growing international sector, and now we have two Premier League teams. I think that's an area where we can really drive forward. But I think this is a brilliant step forward for the region to speak with one voice to drive this sector across all 7 authorities. Brilliant.
Absolutely agree. 2 Premier League teams, 1 Champions League team. Hopefully, one day we might even make that 2. You never know. Glenn and then Martin, please.
Thank you very much. It is a very exciting year ahead of us, and I think it is for Sunderland as well. And I think they'll enjoy their year in the Premier League. But I'm
going to have to ban the football chat on her. That's what's going to have to happen.
I look forward to the first home game, I can tell you. So basically, I mean, the point is that all of us around this table represent areas that have huge natural assets and opportunities to attract tourists. Every one of us, and we have that fantastic honour of being able to represent those people, those residents, and make the tourists feel at home and provide the opportunities for businesses to flourish. And so I think what I would say is it's very, very refreshing to see a significant amount of money like this being put into tourism. I think it's been needed for a while, to be honest, and I think we've seen the results of lots and lots of very keen volunteers giving up their time to drive tourism when in fact we should have previously, if we'd had the money, been able to support them more with money. So now we are opening this new chapter, and I think it's a very important chapter that we are leading on. And I hope very much that Northumberland will be represented in everything that's going forward here, just the same as everybody else's areas are as well, given the success that those people in Visit Northumberland have given to the county and to the region.
Thank you very much, Glenn. Martin and then Karen.
Sorry, just to echo the remarks that have been made already, in so much as, I mean, I think this, to me, along with other areas of work, demonstrates the value of working together in partnership in a combined authority. Because let's be honest about it, you know, we have some of the best assets in the world. You look around the northeast of England, Durham Cathedral, the Northumberland coast, Northumberland castles, the Northumberland countryside, Durham Dales, you could go on. The best airport in the world. Yeah. You know, I mean, we own, as a collection of local authorities, 51% of not just an airport, but the best airport in the world. Repeatedly, the best airport in the world, okay? So our assets are fantastic. The individual work done by local authorities has been excellent as well, you know, whatever it might be. I don't know. You know, Gateshead one year did the final stage, or one of the stages of the Tour de Britain. There's been rugby and football events in Newcastle. There's been tall ships and air shows. We have all, I mean, on occasions we've had major international music events on the same day in 2 locations, which has completely stretched our transport infrastructure. So sometimes we could, the point I'm making is we can do better. You know, yes, it's fantastic that Northumberland, you know, generates, I think it was over £1 billion, Glenn, that you mentioned. But if I talk to colleagues in the south of England who do visit Northumberland, they say, oh, it's the best kept secret in the world. Don't tell anybody, it's fabulous. Right, okay. Well, and I know we read a lot about regions of the world now where they're over exploited in terms of tourism, you know, these sort of hotspots, you know, Barcelona, etc. But we're a long way from that, aren't we? Okay. We've got a long way to go. And in terms of the additional income and employment, I mean, in Newcastle and Gateshead alone, you know, even today there are 19,000 people employed in the hospitality sector. And, you know, these aren't in low, you know, people say, oh, yes, it's hospitality, it's low paid. It's not low paid. You know, a lot of those businesses are high-end, five-star plus, people who are going through the education system and getting into, you know, senior positions. It's a really high-quality sector with some high-quality employment. Thank you.
Thank you. It was to come back on a couple of comments. I jumped. The paper obviously is about setting up our specific body, but clearly it's about all of the things that we've just been discussing. And when I first met with Michael, when I first became leader, and I'd gone to the other leaders for some advice and support, Michael and I agreed that we would keep the rivalry to football. Clearly that's not very helpful in this particular setting, but actually it does demonstrate just how strong our region is, and by working together across the combined authority, as Martin's just said, the sport that we have from the cricket through to the football, through to hosting rugby, the Women's World Cup, all of those things. Our cultural offer is second to none. This is the region that people want to come to. We've demonstrated that time and time again. We did it with the Mobos. We're doing it again with the Mercury Prize. People want to come here because they can see just how exciting a region it is. We've got cities, we've got coast, we've got countryside, and we've got ambition. And this paper, and what we're agreeing in this paper will help us deliver on that ambition. This is the best place in the world. We know it. We're just going to show the people it now.
Thank you very much. Tracy, did you want to come in?
Yeah, just very briefly, Kim. Obviously, I strongly welcome the report. I mean, given the huge opportunities that we have now to actually showcase the North East both on a global and a national scale, and bearing in mind it's already been mentioned, but this is obviously working with our partners as well, involving the Newcastle International Airport, which is the best airport in the world, as you've just mentioned there, in various ways. But I do think this is giving us a huge opportunity in showcasing global and national stage, Chair.
I totally agree. And you can feel the ambition around the table. And that's what I love about talking about this particular agenda. All of us have been tour guides for God knows how many people who we've welcomed to the region, and we've pointed them in this direction and that direction. And when we do that, we don't think about those local authority boundaries, do we? We don't think, oh, well, you know, we must only direct them somewhere in Sunderland or Newcastle or Durham. We tell them to go and explore the region. And the question now remains, what is the scale of our ambition? And when we're starting to think about those events, you know, we've already had World Cup rugby, we're getting the Women's Rugby World Cup, we'll be hosting World Cup football, we have the biggest mass participation running event anywhere in the world in the Great North Run, which we do year in, year out, showcasing the region. And I just think that it would be a massive failing if the only place in this country that the Olympics goes, for example, is London. You know, we've talked about something that scale across the north, not just the northeast, and that has to be the scale of the ambition that we have as a region and that we have collectively across the north. And so, you know, I think it is about, as Karen said, you know, coming together, breaking down those boundaries, making sure that, you know, we've got all of the things in place that we need to deliver. But it's about more than that. It's about pride, and it's about ambition, and it's about making sure that we put this place where it firmly belongs on the national and international stage. So I think this is a really big step forward. It's been a lot of work on behalf of a lot of people. For that, I'm very grateful. Can I ask everyone to agree the recommendations? Fabulous, thank you very much. Right, we're on to item 11, which is the local transport plan. So we've talked a little bit about transport already, and we are determined to improve transport in this region. It's what so many people get in touch with my office about. I know it'll be what people get in touch with those around the table about. And for a lot of them, it's the bus services that they feel are letting them down. On day one in office for me, we started the process of bringing our buses back under public control. And I'll be honest, we know that that's going to take time. So in the meantime, we're doing everything we can that is in our control. And there's nothing worse than standing in the pouring rain at a bus stop that's rusty or has been smashed in or it's seen better days. So we're putting £3.5 million, part of a wider package of nearly 14 million, into tackling these shelters that are not fit for purpose, because it's unacceptable that they're not up for scratch. It means we'll be replacing the old bus shelters, boosting accessibility, improving passenger information at 195 bus stops across Tyne and Wear and Northumberland. We've already started the upgrades of 444 across County Durham. And that's not all. We're also investing £6 million to improve up to 9 rail and metro stations to make them more accessible, so more people can choose to travel that way. And the last of the funding will go towards further rollout of electric vehicle charging points, and we'll be targeting that around those tourist hotspots and destinations that we've just been talking about, installing around 166 new chargers to make sure visitors to this lovely region are not left stranded. It's all part of our pledge to make transport in this region safer, more reliable and more affordable. And there's loads more to talk about, so I'll hand over to Martin, who leads on transport, to do that, please.
Thank you, Kim. Much has already been made of the £800 million that we have secured through the first 2 years. We've talked about the £1.8 billion that you've secured as part of CRSTS2 and enormous impact that the £900 million to open the Washington Loop, the huge difference that'll make. So what I'm going to do is concentrate solely on the issues which I'm asking Cabinet to approve today. This is a proposition to sign off £13.9 million across 3 programmes for bus stop upgrades, electric vehicle infrastructure and connected stations. And it's also a proposition to utilise £600,000 of CRSTS2 for the preparatory studies for the forthcoming CRSTS2, which I'll mention very briefly. In terms of the details on the propositions, bus stop improvement programme is £3.5 million. That's 195 bus stops to be upgraded across Tyne and Wear and Northumberland. But just to make sure that we make it absolutely clear, that is not a neglect of County Durham, because County Durham has already, through this Cabinet, had, I think it was 440, I'm sorry, I can't remember the figure, but it was 444 bus stop improvements, but that was funded through the BSIP funding rather than CRSTS. Okay. The second proposition is for the Connected Stations programme. That's a major programme of improvements to 9 stations across the region, which includes the Metro Centre, Ewith and Jarrow. It'll fund work to make those locations safer, more accessible for walking and cycling routes, CCTV, signage and improving the crossings. The third proposition is further improvements in the electric vehicle recharging infrastructure. That's £4.42 million, 166 charge points, including 72 rapid charge points across 58 sites. And particularly, it'll be about trying to fill the gaps in rural locations. You know, that we've managed to secure investment into many of the urban areas, but there are significant gaps in the rural areas, and that money will be used to particularly plug those gaps. The final element to be approved is for capacity funding for the studies, which is £600,000. That'll fund the feasibility studies for a number of projects, which will be about active travel, bus priority, active travel, and benchmarking against similar projects, but also to do some work on the feasibility of a bike hire scheme across the region. So it's allocating the capacity funding, prepare the business cases for a detailed analysis of the feasibility of those projects. So, and I would recommend those projects to be approved. In total, the funding was £13.92 million.
Thanks, Martin. Some really hard work's gone into this on behalf of you as the Cabinet Member and the team, so thank you very much for that. Any questions or comments on this?
Yes.
Yes, oh sorry, Glenn, yes.
Thank you very much. I welcome money coming to the North East. Of course, it's absolutely the right thing to happen. I think it's worth pointing out that we have seen the Northumberland line grow incredibly in the last 6 months, and we are over 300,000 journeys in that 6 months. That demonstrates one point, Kim, which is that people will go on public transport if it's good, reliable, and value for money. That's what we must do with bus service as well, not just in urban areas, and of course I understand how important urban transportation is, but actually if we can get bus services in our rural areas, in Durham in particular and in Northumberland, that are clean, good value, and above all reliable and sustainable. In other words, if a bus route is laid on, it's got to be clear that that bus route is not going to be there just for a 6-month trial. It's going to be there for a much longer period. So people will say, okay, we'll try it. So we can see that the public will use public transport within those boundaries. But I do have to just pick up slightly on Martin, which is around on tourism, for example. How are we going to move our tourists around if we don't have that essential infrastructure on our roads? Now you know what I'm going to say, so forgive me for saying it, but the A1 in the summertime actually stops. It stops because there is so much traffic on it, it can't cope. I represent some parts of Northumberland that suffer from rat runs when the A1 jams tight, and I think you are aware of one of the villages in Felton and in Thurston where they are inundated with heavy goods vehicles and masses of traffic every Sunday evening or bank holiday Monday evening when people are avoiding the A1 that stopped. So forgive me for banging on about the A1, but it is absolutely essential that we look at other ways of getting people around Northumberland, just the same as how we should be improving it. And in terms of our infrastructure around business, we have got to get some of these really important road schemes completed. For example, the Blythe Relief Road and the Moor Farm Roundabout, which I'm grateful to you for having raised. Because, for example, our new £10 billion data centre campus cannot manage, nor can the new hospital at Cramlington, cannot manage the increased level of traffic that we have using the A19 and using that roundabout unless we make significant improvements soon. So there is no point in saying there's not a good business case. Of course there's a good business case. It's there for everyone to see. The queues stretch for miles. So I welcome the work that's been done, fully support the work on buses, but I think as a powerful voice, Kim, I would look to us as a group to say to government, we have got to get on with these vital major infrastructure works. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. I couldn't agree more. I live on that single lane section of the A1. So do you. We know what it's like. It's an absolute nightmare. And I think we said up front, this cannot be the end of our ambitions. We've got to be really clear that for us to get growth across this region, a better transport network, including those road infrastructure improvements, are made. And we know that they weren't part of the announcement this week, but we're hoping to see more positive news in the spending review and in the coming years. And you'll have my support back in both the Moor Farm roundabout and, of course, improvements to the A1 as well as roads around the region. Any other questions or comments on the report, Karen?
Yeah, thanks, Kim. I take on board the points raised by Glenn, and I know transport is just such an important issue for all of us in the North East, and certainly in North Tyneside. I just wanted to say thanks to everyone for the hard work that's gone in. Thanks, Martin. And it's a significant investment into our transport systems and infrastructure, so I really welcome it, and I look forward to getting these projects through to delivery stage. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Martin,
just to echo your in response to Glenn and echoing your comments, absolutely agree. You know, I mean, I could sort of anecdotally say that I used to have a caravan, family caravan at Bulmer, so I know exactly what he means about following combine harvesters down the A1, sorry. But also, I think we, in terms of Moor Farm roundabout and Seaton Delaval Junction, you know, you and I, Kim, have already made those representations through the Department of Transport. There's something dysfunctional about the current scheme in which they assess the value of air transport infrastructure investment. At the present time, Highways England will put in an objection to any development proposal around Moorhouse Road. There's huge pressure for development around there, right? So they'll put an objection because that junction can't take any more traffic, right? But the Department of Transport, in terms of doing these cost-benefit analysis, will only take into account approved development, not potential development. So the potential development is not becoming approved development because it's been objected to by highway. It's mad, okay, right? So we will continue to hammer at that really hard, Glenn.
Absolutely. The chicken and egg of houses versus roads is really not a helpful feature of the current planning infrastructure. And hopefully, as we pull together our spatial plan for the region as a joined up region, we'll be able to solve some of that. But these improvements are completely crucial. Lovely. And yeah, those decisions are just too often made too far away from us. Those decisions are too often made in London. We've got to change that. That's why we're here for more devolution. Can we agree the extensive recommendations on this report, please? Lovely. Thank you. Right, we're moving on now to item 12, which is creating the home of real opportunity, the Shine Employer Accreditation Awards. This is something I'm really proud that we're bringing to Cabinet today. We want every single person in this region to have opportunity. We want them to be able to secure a well-paid job that leads to a fulfilling career. I don't think that's a lot to ask for. And we know that the workplace environment is completely vital to succeed in at work and progress in your career. And so that's why we want organisations, businesses to join us in creating that real opportunity with our Shine Good Employer scheme. It's backed by trade unions and businesses. It's been co-designed and will support business to become even better employers and promote those who already are. It will be a vital part of our new deal for North East workers and the skills and the business support plan that will define how this region changes and improves the lives of thousands of people in the next few years, but also shapes the skill set that will underpin the generation of North East careers for those to come. And we want those careers to be in positive workplaces because the perils of insecure work fuel the poverty crisis. Far too many people are currently out of work in the North East. And last year, more than a quarter of working age people were not working or looking for employment. We've got a joblessness epidemic rife in our communities. And quite frankly, that is not acceptable. Now, some people legitimately can't work, and I know that some people, but we know that some people can with that extra bit of help. So we're already getting on to support thousands of people with disabilities and health conditions back into work through our £50 million Connect to Work scheme. And Shine is another way for employers to get on board to create thriving workplaces that benefit them as well, because we all know that happy employees mean better, more productive workplaces. We've got some fantastic employers in the region, too many for us to mention in either the report or in these opening remarks, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them get accredited and for them to get the praise that they deserve through the new Shine scheme. So Tracy, you've been leading on this, and I'd really appreciate if you could take us through the report.
Yeah, okay, yeah, thanks very much, Kim, and an exciting time for us as a region. So as we continue our mission to make the North East the home of real opportunity, we must ensure that opportunity is not just created but shared. That means supporting employers to offer good jobs, work that is fair, secure, inclusive and rewarding. Too many people in our region still face poor employment conditions, low pay, insecurity and limited progression. This isn't just a social issue, it's an economic one. The way forward is good work, work that leads to better health outcomes, higher productivity, stronger communities and a more resilient economy. Shine is part of our response, a practical, inclusive programme that helps employers of all sizes improve job quality and be recognised for doing so. Shine is a new standard for driving forward increased availability of good work and good jobs in the region. A tiered accreditation scheme that supports and celebrates employers to commit to good employment practices. It has been developed with input from employers and, as you've said, Kim, trade unions and local authorities, and it is aligned to our region's priorities and up-and-coming changes to UK employment law. I know that the Business and Economy Board had a really positive discussion last week. Shine will be a key part of the Mayor's new deal for North East workers, our plan to ensure that as we create jobs, we also support people to thrive in them. Shine is a free to access and designated to especially supportive to small and micro businesses. Employers can progress through 4 levels from subscriber to advanced, unlocking benefits like PR opportunities, access to networks and events, and offer public profiles. A new website will be offered as a resource hub, peer learning, and a streamlined application process focused on impact, not paperwork. Shine will be officially launched on the 12th of June at the wonderful Customs House in South Shields with the support of South Tyneside Council. The event will feature a keynote from local musician and speaker Dr. Mark Deeks, and will be followed by a series of roadshows to engage employers across the region. Shine is about more than accreditation. It's about building a North East economy that works for everyone. Together we can make the North East a beacon of responsible employment and a place where everyone has the chance to shine. Cabinet is therefore recommended to note and endorse the objectives of Shine and note the forthcoming engagement initiatives help to promote and endorse the scheme wherever possible. Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, Tracy. We did, in fact, invite Take That to take part, but unfortunately they're not available. Does anybody have any questions or comments on this? Yes, Kate.
Thank you. Yeah, voluntary and community organisations are charitable enterprises who are volunteer involving but also employers and contribute greatly to our regional economy. And Martin for Vaughan has very much stated that he welcomes the initiative on behalf of the sector, and we will be promoting the scheme to Vaughan's members and the wider sector and raising it as an item of discussion with the VCSE board in order to shape a collective response from the voluntary sector and promotion of this kite mark. There are a number of kite marks and accreditation schemes that VCSE organisations endorse and promote, which align with the strands within this outlined scheme. And it's good to see living wage, environmental sustainability and health and well-being indicators within the Shine framework. We know the sector would welcome further engagement to ensure any accreditation dovetails with current and developing support offers that the VCSE organisations across the region are able to afford from organisations like the local infrastructure organisations who come together within the VCSE board. Shine represents and presents an opportunity for some direct engagement with the sector to really explore VCSE specific responses to identifiable additional needs that might come out of this kind of process. And finally, an inclusive approach that enables organisations, no matter their scale, to gain parity of esteem through accreditation processes is really welcome.
Thanks, Kate. And, you know, the whole point of this is it's ambitious. It has to be. It can't just be a ticky box exercise. This has got to be actually about improving the world of work in this region and making sure that we stand apart from other places as a great place for people to work, you know, where they can expect a good day's pay for a good day's work and be able to put food on the table at the end of the day and feel that sense of fulfilment while building a career and knowing that they can do it all here. John, do you want to come in on behalf of the business community?
I think this is an excellent initiative. It really is. It's there is so much evidence out there that good work is good for employees, obviously, but it's good for employers. It, as you said in your remarks, Tracy said in hers, it's good for productivity. It supports absence rates. Really importantly, at a time when employers are finding it difficult to attract the right skills and keep the right people, it's good for attracting and retaining talent, which is really, really important. Just one word of caution I would express, though, which is that This is a tough time for business right now. Costs are being put onto business. There's an increasing regulatory burden on business. We know the causes of decisions behind things like national insurance contributions increases, but we're starting to see the effects of that coming through now. So our labour market figures today have been fairly static, but actually if you look at the national picture, unemployment is up, vacancies are down. So I just think it's really important in terms of how we frame this excellent initiative going forward, that it's not seen as being an additional burden on business. It's accessible, it's achievable, it's something that businesses want to get involved in, not least to recognise the great work that's already happening in the region. So many businesses are already doing so much of what's actually in this accreditation. They're doing it anyway. It's fantastic that we're going to recognise this through Shine, but just let's ensure that we frame it in a way that isn't counterproductive in sort of adding further regulatory pressure or further cost pressure to business.
Thanks, John. A really important point. Completely agree. Martin?
Two very quick points. Last Wednesday night I was walking back from Newcastle Civic Centre to my car, and there was a group of fans outside of the stage door at the City Hall, and as I walked past it was Gary Barlow. So if I'd known, I'd have asked him for you, okay? Right? He says, "Hello there, Martin." I went, "Oh, hello there, Gary." Right? Who's that without Martin? I heard someone say. So two things very quickly. I don't want to turn this into an attack on the DWP or whatever, except to say, and I understand the pressures on businesses, but the last time I looked, and it was some time ago, and I wouldn't swear at the figures because I tend to make them up on occasions, but last time I looked, it was about £20 billion that was paid out by DWP in terms of in-work benefits. Now, I don't want to make too fine a point on that, except to say there's something seriously wrong in a society where we as taxpayers are having to put that kind of funding in to employers who can't afford to pay the market rate. And so I think we need to improve the quality of employment. So that's very much part of that. Second point was you mentioned very briefly about connecting to work. Again, this sounds like an attack. Well, it is an attack on the DWP. You know, local authorities are in a much stronger place to support people into work. We know our people. We know the support that we need to give. In many cases, that's just bus fare, a jacket, a new suit, whatever it might be, some kind of training scheme to support them back into work. Really cost-effective support, and we're really effective at it. The £50 million that you've mentioned, of which Gateshead, thankfully, will receive £1.9 million, isn't it, to support nearly 400 people back into work. That's really effective work, far better than the DWP. You know, given contracts to, national companies, wherever they may be, what's it, A for E and whatever, giving them huge contracts, private companies, forcing people to sit behind a computer for 39 hours a week, supposedly applying for jobs, but not supporting them into work. So yes, I think it's more devolution is the solution.
Couldn't agree more. We all agree more devolution of the support for people to get back into work is absolutely essential. I think we've got to a point where people think that nobody thinks you get a job in a job centre.
Yeah.
How is this a thing?
Yeah.
And we know that regionally we could do it better. We know that with our local authorities we can do it better. We can do better targeting. We can do it in a more cost-effective way. We can do it in a way that's more considerate to people and to employers. And we can use it to close the skills gap. So more devolution is absolutely the way forward. And using Shine to highlight the opportunity in the North East, I think is key. Were you wanting to come in there, Glenn? Any other questions or comments? Lovely. Can we agree the recommendations in the report?
Great.
Thank you. And I really look forward to seeing everybody on Thursday at the launch of Shine. Thank you. Okay, item 13 is the Brownfield Housing Fund Programme. Look, we all know that everybody deserves a home that they can be proud of. It's the bedrock of health and success, and a good home doesn't necessarily have to mean an expensive one. We need properties of all shapes and sizes that meet the needs of our diverse communities, and we need to tackle the social housing crisis that blights our region with over 60,000 people on the social housing waiting list. But that's where the problem comes in, because we do have a huge shortage with tens of thousands of people, as I've said, on that waiting list. the North East Brownfield Housing Programme has unlocked land already for almost 3,000 new homes across our region. And in fact, myself and Michael were in Hendon just yesterday announcing the building of 96 social homes on a patch of land in the middle of a residential area that has been derelict and subject to antisocial behaviour since 1999. So that is really the power of this. And because of that success, we've secured a further £17.6 million to go even further, so we can redevelop more brownfield land for more than 700 new homes. It's fantastic news, and we won't be wasting any time getting on with it, with expressions of interest to open as soon as possible so that we can get underway. We want the region to be building the greenest, most sustainable homes in the country so that people can afford to live in them. But we also need the skills to do that as well. So it is brilliant that the cutting-edge new training facility in Sunderland, the Housing and Innovation Construction Skills Academy, will also open later this year. And that will train people up to build and upgrade homes locally using modern construction methods, low-carbon renewable energy and smart technology. This is the joined-up way that we want the region to operate so that we can create more opportunities, more job opportunities in our housing sectors with well-paid, skilled jobs that are also making sure that everybody has a home that they look forward to returning to at the end of the day. And so to introduce the report, can I ask Andrew Husband, who is the new Cabinet Member for A Place to Call Home, please? Thank you.
Thank you. I guess before I start, I just want to say it has been a positive kind of first cabinet experience. I've been kind of discreetly taking little sips of water down here, and I thought, well, I'm not going to be socially judged now by having a Bruno. I brought me son's water bottle to work today by mistake. So anyway, back to being professional. So thank you to Kim and Cabinet for the opportunity to be here. Obviously, I'm new to this portfolio and this microphone. But it's something that I'm happy to support. I guess in North East, we are proud to call home does resonate with everyone in this room, so that kind of got me straight away. So I'm more than happy to commence the speaking note. So I am pleased to present a summary of the report about expected additional capital investment that will add to our existing North East Brownfield Housing Fund. This will unlock more unviable brownfield sites to support housing delivery and support both our mission, North East we are proud to call home, and national ambitions to deliver 1.5 million more homes at 300,000 per year. Resources for brownfield sites are crucial to take forward local place making, turning them from eyesores into locations for homes and communities people need. This additional funding has been allocated to the North East because of the success so far of the existing programme. Cabinet has recommended to support the approval of an expected additional 17.6 million. This will support housing delivery across the region, helping to unlock stuck sites and bring forward more affordable and social homes, providing a catalyst for wider regeneration within our communities. Thank you.
Mic on? There we are. Thank you, Andrew. Any questions or comments? Michael.
Just obviously, we could spend the 17.6 million just in Sunderland alone, but I think we've got a really good track record of getting some of these sites, stuck sites, over the line, and this is what our residents, electorates want. These brownfield sites, and Kim alluded to the one in my ward in Hendon, been stuck for over 30 years. And it's been beset by various different problems, but because of devolution, because of this cabinet, because of the mayor, we're working in partnership with Sunderland City Council, we've managed to get that over the line, and that's going to create a brand new community in the heart of Hendon, one of the most deprived communities in Sunderland, where I was born and bred. It's going to breathe whole new life into that neighbourhood. So if we can do that in other places across the North East, as a cabinet, we'll have done something that previous iterations of devolution didn't do, and that will give people a strong foundation to start work, jobs, education and what. So I'm really excited about this, but obviously there's always more to do. So I would hope, Kim, as Mayor, you'll be down knocking on Rachel Reeves' door saying we want more and more and more, because each of us in our areas could spend this money 10 times over, but this is absolutely welcome. So thank you very much for the work you've done in enabling that project in Hendon to come forward.
Thank you very much. We totally could, couldn't we? And we will absolutely be knocking the door down saying we want more. We've already secured 49 million, and this 17 million is because of how effective everybody has been at bringing these schemes forward. When we were on that visit yesterday, I said to the builders, it was Esh, I said to Esh Group, when will they be available? You know, when will people be moving into these houses? And you get used to, in these jobs, things taking too long. And honestly, I was almost a little bit nervous to hear the answer. And he said, you know what, back end of next year, they'll be moving in. That's brilliant. You know, that is fast. That's a fast turnaround for 96 social homes, you know, a third of which are bungalows. So really, really impressive. And that's a little bit of a snapshot of what's possible in the region. Thank you very much for that. Karen, yes.
Thank you. And just to, well, firstly, to congratulate Michael and yourself on that, because that just sounds fabulous. And the passion that you feel clearly shows through. And it's fabulous news when it's where you were born and brought up. But on a wider note, I suppose, this is fundamentally what we're about, isn't it, as a combined authority? Because decent homes, be they social homes, affordable homes, or owner-occupied in other price brackets, without a decent home, we can't tackle child poverty. Without a decent home, we can't. It's so fundamental to people's health and well-being, their ability to work, their ability to learn, their ability to live happy, healthy, productive lives. So I really welcome the report. I really welcome the work that's gone into it. I think it's so important for what we do. Absolutely agree. We could all spend it a million times over, but we've got some fantastic examples across the region of what we've already used this money from. The Rise in Scotswood being one of those in Newcastle. But we've all got brilliant examples, and we'll have more, and that's because of devolution. So this, to me, epitomises what we're about, and I wholeheartedly support it.
And I do think it is because of devolution, isn't it? You know, it's because we're doing it faster, and so it just strengthens the case as far as I'm concerned to devolve more. And I've made the case for saying, look, just devolve Homes England to places like ours, because we'll get on and we'll do it quicker. And when you couple that with the fact that we've already got devolved post-19 skills, we've lobbied for post-16 skills as well to improve those construction skills, you can just see how you end up with that virtuous circle of more great jobs building the houses that people need to live in. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. Can we take forward these recommendations, please? Lovely. Thank you very much. Okay, item 14, and the last substantive item on the agenda is the Green Energy Revolution, Newcastle College Energy Academy expansion. Look, we've said it before and we've said it and we'll say it again. Green energy is as totemic to the future of this region as shipbuilding and mining were to the past. It is as simple as that. Look, I know we've got critics who want to scrap net zero and tax renewables, but if we take the politics out of it, it just makes really good business sense. And it's not just me who thinks that, it's investors as well, who want to speed up plans, not slow down. And the success of this sector means thousands of highly skilled, well-paid jobs for local people. That's the young people who are growing up looking at the Port of Tyne, looking at the former Swan site, looking at the Port of Blythe and knowing that these jobs are for them. It means we have a reliable energy source at a time when global security feels increasingly tense. It means that we actually put our region on the international map, renowned for leading the way in the industries of the future, and so we'll never suffocate our potential in this region. Instead, let's make the North East the home of the green energy revolution. And this expansion of the Newcastle College Energy Academy in Wallsend, with £8.5 million worth of funding behind it, is integral to that. Look, me and Karen visited what's already there earlier in the week, and we were completely blown away by it, like the passion of the learners, the passion of the tutors, the stories that they were telling us about how they got there. And they are committed to getting trained up and to working in this sector. And some of them are even wanting to work at the Energy Academy, bringing forward colleagues and friends to make sure that they can go on to work in the energy sector as well. Because we've got to keep these industries going. We need to ensure that the world's biggest firms see the North East as the place to recruit highly skilled workers, both for now and for future generations. It means opportunities for working class kids that might otherwise never have got the opportunity to work in one of those great, highly paid green jobs. And we want to do more to make sure that young people have access to the courses that they need to succeed. So last week, when the Secretary of State was here to open, in fact, the Energy Academy in Blythe, we told her that we want to work with her to make sure that young people have the skills they need, so that we can work with employers to identify those skills gaps and set up the right courses that will boost the regional economy, so we can create more opportunity for the next generation and lead the way in green energy to be as successful in the industries of the future as we were in the industries of the past. It was really good to go with you on that visit, Karen. It was honestly, I left with such a massive smile on my face. I know you did as well. So I'd really love it if you would introduce the report, please.
Yeah, thanks, Kim. It was certainly a really exciting visit. Okay, I'm delighted to be Cabinet Member for making the North East the home of the green energy revolution, and I'm delighted to present this report. One of the combined authority's 5 missions is to make the North East the home of the green energy revolution, and I'm absolutely delighted to be able to present this exciting flagship project in my first meeting as portfolio lead. With this report seeking Cabinet approval to allocate £8,487,332, very precise, from the North East Investment Zone programme to enable the expansion of the Newcastle College Energy Academy in Wallsend. Investment in skills is a crucial part of our programme to unlock green growth, as Kim's just outlined. This funding will be used to meet the internal fit-out costs of a new skills training facility, which will be located next to the existing Energy Academy, right in the heart of the Tyne Industrial Corridor in Wallsend. And it really was a fantastic privilege to visit that facility and meet some of those amazing young people learning the new skills, and also being real positive role models promoting this new sector in schools to children and other young people. So it's amazing. If approved, this will be the 5th project from our North East Investment Zone programme. From the initial investment zone budget of £55 million to be spent by 28-29, it will leave £19 million remaining. This expansion will more than double the learning floor space of the existing Energy Academy and triple the capacity to over 1,000 learners per year. We're expecting that the building will be fully open for learners in the 2027-28 academic year. The additional training capacity will help to meet the growing demand for green energy skills from employers in the region, including on the River Tyne Economic Corridor. This includes skills in engineering, subsea, and offshore renewable energy. Growth in the offshore renewable energy industry is expected to create 4,500 jobs on the River Tyne over the next 10 years, with the regional workforce growing to 24,000. This project will complement other recent North East Combined Authority funding into skills development. This includes the Blythe Energy Central Learning Hub and Energy Central Institute, the new campus for South Tyneside College and Marine School, and the Made North East project, which is delivering skills and innovation activity for the electric vehicle and battery manufacturing cluster in Sunderland. This investment in skills is part of the wider Combined Authority strategy to grow the offshore and clean energy sector by investing in port and quayside infrastructure, supporting world-leading R&D and innovation at individual businesses and at the offshore renewable energy catapult, seeking new inward investment opportunities, and by working with existing businesses and their supply chain to increase opportunities in the region. This project will also increase the opportunities available to residents in some of the most disadvantaged wards in our region, providing career pathways into a growing industry. And on a personal level, as Mayor of North Tyneside Council, I am absolutely delighted that it will dovetail with our wider proposals to regenerate the Wallsend Town Centre and support delivery of the Wallsend Master Plan. So in summary, I'm delighted to endorse this project to Cabinet and to seek your approval for its recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. Anyone got any questions or comments on this one? It's really positive news, expanding that the Energy Academy. So can we accept all of the recommendations in the report? Agreed, lovely. Thank you very much, everyone. That is a pretty hefty agenda for us to get through. The next Cabinet meeting is scheduled to be held on Tuesday, the 22nd of July in Gateshead. We agreed that we would be getting out of the town halls into real communities. Thank you so much to County Durham and the Story here for hosting us. It is a beautiful venue. Please take the time to have a look before you leave. And I look forward to going somewhere equally as exciting in Gateshead in July, venue yet to be revealed. Thanks.